I mean, that was just absolutely way, way, way too close.
Welcome on into the ASU Wildcats podcast, live from Studio K, presented by Circle K. I am, of course, one Damon Fairall. He is Kevin Thomas. We are the ASU Wildcats podcast here in PHNX HQ3, and we are talking about the Arizona Wildcats, the number one team in the country, beating the Arizona State Sun Devils, their rivals, 89-82. Not the best game for the Wildcats. Kevin and I are going to break that down, what we liked, what we didn't like, and so much more. But first off, I do want to say we are presented by our presenting sponsor of Branded Bills. We love Branded Bills. Head on over to brandedbills.com, use promo code BBPHNX, and get 15% off your first order at brandedbills.com. You're going to have to check out that campus collection for yourself. Kevin rocking one of those campus collection hats today. On more of the Branded Bills custom headwear and apparel side of things right now with one of these fine-looking PHNX sports hats. But Kevin, not Arizona's best game of the season tonight, only beating the Sun Devils by 7. ASU, while they put in a respectable performance, is not a good basketball team, and yet this was a somewhat of a dogfight from start to finish here.
It was. I mean, we said it in the cold open. It was far too close. And I know that some people in the chat are saying that, yes, this is a rivalry game, and you never know what could occur. You saw BYU almost get beat by Utah just a couple nights ago, and this is the Big 12. However, I think we know what we have in this Arizona basketball team, and this is an elite-level basketball team. I think for them to come out and allow Arizona State to make this game a game, make this game a legitimate competition for the full 40 minutes, that is a failure of the Arizona Wildcats tonight. Not going to sugarcoat that aspect of it. Ultimately, though, just happy to have gotten a dub. Like I said in the pregame show, the dub is the bare minimum, and tonight we hit the bare minimum, I would say. Maybe just slightly above the bare minimum. There were some performances in this game, specifically in the second half from Koa Peat and the entirety of the game from Tobe Awaka, that I feel like were far, far, far above the bare minimum. But, yeah, you cannot beat Arizona State, this year's iteration of Arizona State, by just 7 at home, the way that it happened, and us kind of come on here and be like, this was a great win. What a performance. This is the number one team. This is still the number one team, as we've seen evidence by all our competition in the top of the ranks falling. But I think this is a good reminder that you could just as easily be that team that is on national TV as the number one team that loses any given night. And this is, I think, something we talked about with the TCU game, a good learning experience for these young Arizona Wildcats to have gone through this. Maybe you're coming into it thinking we're better than them. We should be better than them if we just play their game. And then, because this needs to be talked about as well, for this Arizona State team, and this is no disrespect to them, Arizona's number one in the country. This is their Super Bowl. You have your in-state rival on their home floor, number one in the nation. You think they're not going to come out with every bit of fire? I mean, maybe me and Damon didn't think they'd come out with as crazy a fire as they did. But if for the guys in that locker room, I'm sure they knew that the target is on their back in this game. So all credit to ASU for making this game a game. But on the Arizona side of things, certainly got to clean a bunch of stuff up, because you cannot beat this ASU team by just 7 and then also expect for us to be on here being like, yeah, this is everything we expected it to be. But yeah, Damon, where are you at with this
I
one?
wish you could hear my heart break there, Kevin, as you beat me to the punch calling this one ASU Super Bowl, because that was the next words that were coming out of my mouth. But I guess we've been doing this podcast together for just a bit too long, because you said it the second that I was trying to say it. And I think that if you have the number one number right next to your name, you are going to be everyone's Super Bowl, but for sure your rival's Super Bowl, right? Especially on the road. I think that that's where the disappointment for me kind of comes about, though, Kevin, is that this was not in Tempe. This was not, 40% of the crowd is behind them inside of McHale North. This is a situation where Arizona is playing in one of the best home court advantages in the country, and yet this game was kind of a toss-up for 75% of it. I mean, you started feeling a little bit more comfortable at the end. I thought my cover was going to hit at the end until it was very clear that it was not, because Mo Odom was not going to allow that to happen. So it just was, I feel like one of those situations where, ASU mixed in some insane shot making, but also I don't think Arizona really treated this game as if it was like a do or die type of game. And while it technically isn't, I think that the elite teams, the great teams, the teams that are, the ones that are going to win it all and cut down nets at the end of the season, they do have that mentality instilled in them. And we haven't seen that fully from Arizona yet. Like you said on pregame, Kevin, you wanted a complete game out of the Wildcats today. I think we got far from that in reality.
Got
right?
like 2.5 innings.
Yeah. So I think that, this is just Arizona just has to find a way to put complete games together and not allow inferior competition to kind of just ease their way, weasel their way back into some of these games, pig their way back into some of these games. Because this was a team that just didn't have really any business being in a game with Arizona tonight. And it felt like, due to a variety of different factors, they were.
I'll say this much though, in I don't know what, not like contrast to what you're saying, but just in added context. Something I really had not thought about coming into this game that obviously I probably should have. But we talk about, if you're going to beat Arizona, what do you need, Damon? What's something this podcast has said that you need all year long if you're going to beat Arizona?
You need to create turnovers. You need to have elite shot making.
Boom. Elite shot making.
Yeah, I think
right?
It's those two in particular.
Yes. But if you're going to be in it with Arizona, you're going to need elite shot making.
Yeah.
And what I underrated was Mo Odom's ability to carry his heroics from Maui, from some of these other games for Arizona State this year into this competition. I was not really believing in his ability to take that unbelievable shot making, especially from beyond the arc. That three he hit at the end of the game was unbelievable. If he smoked the free throw after, and that would have put a lot more game pressure on Arizona. But I think his ability to make shots in this game is certainly one of the reasons that Arizona was not able to pull away at the end. Because I think that's what we were seeing. You, me, and Shane were kind of talking about that, of how this game might be close a little bit right now, but we assume Arizona's going to make a run here, win by 15-ish, whatever. But that run never happened because of the shot making on the other side from Arizona State. Now, it was also because of the lackluster defense from the Arizona Wildcats, which we know they can clean up for their next matchup, I believe, against UCF. But I think part of the reason why this game became so close is you had unbelievable shot making, specifically down the stretch of this game from Mo Odom, and even Bryce Ford hit a nice little shot there at the end as well. So,
yeah, I mean, I think I came away impressed with a few players on Arizona State, right? Like, I think Kevin and I are guys that try to watch the other opponents in this conference. I'm sure a lot of Arizona fans got their first kind of taste of what ASU basketball in 2025, 2026 is all about tonight. But Masamba Diop is good. I mean, that's a good basketball player, Kevin. Like maybe he struggles a little bit more on the defensive end, but his offensive skill set is very impressive for a young big man. I mean, I think Mo Odom is a guy that he's gonna make some shots. You saw that with the shot making tonight. We were talking a lot about Musin before the show. I mean, he
heard us.
He's pretty much the reason that I lost my bets tonight. Like, I feel like he might have been tuning into the pregame show. He might have taken this personally, as Michael Jordan once said.
It seemed like he really did.
It felt that way. It felt personal to me watching it on the recliner here at PHNX HQ3. But I do think that, they had their best players somewhat carry them tonight. And they got good performances out of those guys, and that's why it was close. But it just really shouldn't have been. It just really shouldn't have been. So that's I guess I'm just kind of disappointed with the performance, frankly. I understand, and I think Noren was kind of getting to this earlier with his comment that he made, like, you're not going to play your best game every single night. It's college basketball. These are kids. It's unrealistic to expect the Oklahoma City Thunder of the first 30 games of the year in a college basketball setting. But that being said, I still think that this was a game in which you have to come up here on post game like me and Kevin do and say that was not ideal. That was not the type of performance that we are accustomed to seeing out of this team, and they can definitely play better than that.
Yeah, no, I like that, Damon, because I think where I said that this was a failure for Arizona men's basketball, ultimately, like I said on the pregame, the bare minimum for success is getting the win. Ultimately, when we look back on the year, I say it with MMA all the time, drink 10 toes, is that when you look back on a fighter's career, you look at the green stripes versus the red stripes. Who'd they beat? Who'd they lose to? You don't really give a damn about, oh, well, their opponent came in and missed weight, and, oh, there were all these. You look back, if Arizona, knocking on wood, finishes undefeated for the year, we're not going to give a damn that this was a lackluster victory. We're going to give a damn that it was a victory at all, right? And I think that is where I'm saying it was a failure for them to just get above the bare minimum and not quite reach the standard that which they have set for themselves this season.
Yeah.
Which is out-rebounding teams by a lot, outworking teams for the consistency of a game, and over the course of a game, overpowering, I should say, their opponents. So I think that this is more of a failure to reach the standard of which you have set. I'm not saying it's like shocking that a college basketball team would fail to meet the standard and still win the game. In fact, I think the fact that Arizona escaped being one of these teams like a Vanderbilt, like a Michigan, like a Purdue earlier in the year, to be on your high horse and then to get knocked down and feel like frauds, Arizona avoids that. And I think there's a lot of that going around right now. And so for Arizona to kind of dodge that flu feels really good. And it's another learning lesson. We talked about it in the non-conference. You can have games like this, specifically with Braden Burries, right? We talked about this with Braden Burries in the non-conference. You can have games where he goes for 6 points and 4 fouls and does not play well, right? But the most important thing is he got all that data, he downloaded all that experience, and you won. And now you can go in the next game with a wiser, stronger Braden Burries. Apply that to the whole team for this run of TCU and ASU, these last couple games, where you're thinking, damn, what is Brock Harding doing anywhere near a stat sheet with Jaden Bradley, right? What is Noah Mucinex doing on the court with the U of A Wildcats? They're hooping. Right, and you beat them because that is their Super Bowl. You're the number one team in the country. You're gonna get everybody's best shot. You're not gonna beat anybody for 40 straight minutes. Although, like in Ford versus Ferrari, like me and Damon were talking about off air, you want the perfect lap. You want the perfect game. It's about striving for it, right? You're never gonna get the perfect game if you don't strive for it. I'm not saying the perfect game is realistic, but you look at teams like ASU, Utah, Cincinnati. Those are some teams in conference play where there's a chance that Arizona, if they come in locked in enough, if Braden Burries shoots well enough, if Koa Peat's on it, if Kchenkov's playing good defense, you could have the perfect lap, so to speak. And so tonight, our score predictions, not to do it to us, but I'm going to do it to us. They looked like this. Just kidding. They looked like this for a reason, right?
Well, I wasn't too far off.
Correct.
I was pretty close.
You were at least closer than me, but our score predictions looked like this because we thought that Arizona had a chance in this matchup to have an incredible, unbelievable performance, but they did not do that. So I think that just getting above the bare minimum is success. You won the game, but it is still failure to not reach the standard that you set, which is trying to have the perfect game.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that that's the message that will be echoed by the coaching staff, by Tommy Lloyd. I'm sure, and someone else put this up here in the chat, like, for a Tommy Lloyd, I'm sure that this is a great game. You get the W, and you get a lot of things to go work on in practice. You get to humble your guys who have, gotten used to winning, gotten used to, thinking, we can't lose. We're 17-0, right? And I feel like this is an opportunity for Tommy to say, hey, fellas, you got to take every game seriously, or else it's going to be a dogfight with the Arizona State Sun Devils and the 89th ranked team in KenPom, which is a quad 3 win for the Wildcats. And that was a close game. Yeah. So, I mean, not the best performance. I think in large part, it was such a dogfight in the first half, Kevin, because Koa Peat was so, let's just say, quiet. Quiet, really not even the right word. He was taking a lot of shots. He was very involved.
2 for 8 in that first half.
He just was not playing well. And personally, and I don't know if you agree with this or not, I thought he was getting hammered in the first half. I thought that the refs were allowing the Sun Devils to get away with a ton of contact, and kind of trying to just, say, hey, what if this thing was kind of a good game, right? Like, what if bodies were flying on the floor left and right? Koa Peat, as he does, very aggressive, gets the ball, goes straight to the rim. I felt like he was getting hacked. And sometimes he's got to, push through that amount of contact, or maybe when he realizes he's not getting the calls, stop trying to force the issue. But we saw a completely different Koa Peat in the second half, and it was, the main differentiator for Arizona from when you look at being down 1 point at halftime to, being up 7 at the end of the game. So I loved what I saw from Koa Peat, the response, young player. I'm sure this game meant a lot to him because ASU was so involved in his recruitment.
I mean, well, we all know he chose between ASU and Arizona.
Absolutely. Fact, proven fact. And so, I just think that this game probably mattered a little bit more. He probably had it circled on the schedule. Wasn't an ideal start, but the response was fantastic, Kevin.
Yeah, the response was fantastic. And I think that is something that I talked about in a recent article I wrote in one of these post-game wrap-ups of what makes these freshmen so special is their poise, right? Like, for Koa Peat to have the first half that he did, I know we recently or kind of briefly talked about the numbers in that first half for him, but I'll go over them in full right now. Like, in that first half, 8 points, but just 2 for 8 from the field, 4 for 5 from the line, 5 boards, an assist, 3 turnovers, 2 blocks for Koa Peat. And I think that, honestly, it wasn't much of a mentality shift or a play style change for Koa Peat. I just feel like you got the full on, I don't give a damn if it goes in, I'm just going to go full power in this second half because we need it, right? We need it tonight. And then you got 16 in the second half, 7 from 7. He was perfect in the second half from the field, 2 for 3 from the line, 5 boards, 2 assists, a foul, 2 turnovers, and a steal, right? He was incredible in that second half. Honestly, he took a lot of the shine away from one Tobe Awaka, who was just as good, not only in that half, but for the whole game. The man was absolutely incredible, and we'll get to him in a little bit. But I do think that what we saw from Koa Peat tonight is a kid that is just not your average freshman. The same thing I talk about with Kinks and Flemings, where it's like, damn, they've been there before. They're not worried about no second half up 5. They're not worried about being down 5. They're worried about playing basketball and making every possession better than the last. And I think you see that with Koa Peat tonight, not down in the dumps. You can see frustration when he's going 2 for 8 in that first half, sure, but never worried about Koa Peat losing his head. Never worried about Koa Peat not coming out in that second half and playing just as hard as he did in the first half to get the same results. So, yeah, all credit to Koa Peat for, like you said, the response that he had, Damon. And also, man, some crazy dunks in this game as well. Yeah. Koa Peat had 1 or 2 of them. And before
that one at the end was special.
Oh my God.
But yeah, Koa Peat to end out the second half, Kevin, 16 points, 7 of 7 shooting. 5 boards, 2 assists. I mean, perfect from the field.
Yeah.
And that the eye test agrees with that. Like, the dude was he was unstoppable in that second half. And again, like, I think that is the type of response that is encouraging. That's like one of the major positives that I'm taking away from an otherwise pretty lackluster performance, in my opinion, is your best player, when he was down and out and things didn't look great, showed up in the second half and completely dominated, completely flipped the game on his head. And I think that's the type of response that you want to see out of a guy like Koa Peat. And despite maybe having a kind of a first half disaster class that maybe would have hurt his stock a little bit, you look at that second half and it does nothing but raise it, right? So yeah, just a great performance from Koa Peat tonight. I want to shout out to the chat here tonight as well. My guy Sports Savant, speaking my language, extend Bobby Hurley. We got Carl Schroeder saying maybe Coach Lloyd made it close, so ASU renews Hurley's contract. That's chestnut checkers.
Tommy was in the state representatives building. He is doing the political thing now, so that might be smart for him to be playing 3 moves ahead of his counterpart there.
I heard Tommy was also telling Kenny that the weather in Ann Arbor is fantastic. So just trying to kind of be like, hey, I know you committed now, but maybe down the line, Kyle Whittingham's not going to be there forever. So just a thought. But yeah, shout out to everybody in here. Shout out Condor, Deborah Owens, of course, my guy Chris Canfield, Lute is my daddy, Brian Hanks, basketball and football guy. We got Reese in here even.
Wow.
So yeah, appreciate everybody for being here. But Reese is also throwing in some shots.
He's hating.
Reese,
I like all your soccer TikToks, Reese. I don't appreciate your energy.
I don't even get that take.
It's okay. They're coping. They're coping right now. But I do want to give a shout out to Mr. Chris Canfield here in the chat, who not only asked for a follow and received a follow on Twitter today, but maybe early contender for comment of tonight's postgame. Koa lost a game of tag when he was 6 years old and said, nah, never doing that again. And it kind of comes down to like what I've asked this multiple times. I think I need to ask Koa himself at some point. Has he ever had a season that's ended in a loss? Like he might genuinely be allergic to losing games or losing competitions or losing something in which you could lose. It's unbelievable, that Koa Peat guy. Another guy that's unbelievable is Tobe Awaka, and me and Damon are going to be talking a whole lot more about Mr. Thanos in the paint after this quick break here on the AZ Wildcats podcast. So drink your water, leave a like, do not go anywhere. Remember, we're still the number one team in the country. A dub is a dub. Let's talk more about it after this. Well, Damon, I want to talk to everyone at home about our friends over at the Husband and Wife Law Team. Now, the Husband and Wife Law Team, they're mostly there for serious injury and wrongful death. Now, I don't know what type of injuries you can accrue from being dunked on by Tobe Awaka and Koa Peat, but if they're serious enough, you need to call this number, 602-783-8841. That's the Husband and Wife Law Team, Mark and Alexis Breyer. They've been in the Valley for generations, dare I say. They have like almost 10 kids out here. 8 is enough for the Arizona rotation, and I think they have 8 kids as well. Is that a sign that you should support the Husband and Wife Law Team? I think yes. They are certified specialists in the State Bar of Arizona, who has only certified just 1% of its lawyers as specialists in injury and wrongful death litigation. They're specialists. Mark and Alexis Breyer, they're specialists. Call that number if you've had a serious injury at 602-783-8841 or visit their website and our link in the show notes below. Tell them PHNX sent you and make sure to, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, I was going to say to reference that TikTok when you get on the phone with them, right? Play a song, and if Mark doesn't know it, he is too damn old. Check him out, 602-783-8841, the Husband and Wife Law Team, Mark and Alexis Breyer.
I'll tell you what song Mark does know, Kevin, and that's TikTok by Kesha, and he knows it well, and he can sing it front to back.
These are facts.
Just a thought. You get him to be your lawyer. I'm sure he'll sing it for you in person. Fantastic stuff going on over at the Husband and Wife Law Team. And I also got to tell you guys, Kevin, about our friends over at Window Depot, right? So yes. 2026 is all about bettering ourselves. 2025, the holidays, we had them. It was fantastic. Now what is the next move? And for a lot of people, I think home renovation is the answer, right, Kevin? We want our space to look as beautiful and pristine as possible. And the Window Depot is helping folks make that happen here in 2026. Kitchen and bathroom designers are available at every location and ready to help make your dream a reality. You'll find everything you need all in one place, Kevin. This is not just a window store. As you can see there on the little tagline, it's more than just a window store. This is a place that private contractors go to stock up for their projects. This is a place that professionals that are using tools and you know, different types of renovation products, like say a 2x4, Kevin, where are you going to find it? You're going to go to the Window Depot because they have all of that stuff stocked up for you, ready to go. Best price, biggest inventory, Arizona made and locally trusted. In-house designers love it. It's free of charge. It doesn't require a membership. So visit thewindowdepot.com and get started on your next project today.
I got a question for you, Damon Dog, and it's related to one Trevor Begay's comment here. Coincidence, the Arizona men's basketball Instagram follows Caleb Holt and not the other schools that are in his top 5. And I have a question for Trevor. I would like some clarification. Are you saying that Caleb Holt only follows Arizona men's basketball and not the other schools? Or are you saying that Arizona men's basketball follows Caleb Holt and not the other schools? Because I don't need them following the other schools. I don't give a damn if our social admin knows what's going on with their basketball.
Like Alabama is not following Caleb Holt.
Okay, got you. That's what I thought he was saying, but I just wanted to make sure.
I mean, listen, like I know playing Instagram detective is not always
it's 2026
a fruitful endeavor, but I do think that holds a little bit of weight.
Yeah, especially with kids nowadays.
That makes me feel a little bit better about our chances of bringing in a Caleb Holt next year, because I just feel like those schools would assuredly be following a guy that is that coveted of a prospect and is going to hypothetically make that big of a difference going into next season. But I guess you never know. Shout out the chat here. The chat is absolutely popping. The chat wants to talk about the Guard U sweatshirt, Kevin. And I do want to talk about Tobe Awaka, and we're going to get into him in a second, and rightfully so. He was an absolute specimen tonight. But I think, and I like, there is a lot of things on the list of ASU related topics, their fan base, their, the football jerseys that they all wear on campus, despite not knowing the backstory of what really happened. There's a million different things in which ASU fans do that make me cringe, right? The Territorial Cup was meaningless now because we won it, but it meant everything when they beat a horrible Arizona team in 2024. I think the Guard U stuff is by far the most cringe thing that ASU athletics has done in accordance to what Arizona has going on. Is that a crazy take?
No, I mean,
it's so embarrassing.
You're asking the wrong guy, because it's a joke of a concept on a joke of a coach. And so I don't understand.
But we are known as Point Guard U. That's been a thing since the late 80s, the 90s? Like that has been the persona of this basketball program since I've been born. Ever since I could remember, I remember my dad being like, well, we're Point Guard U. And then one day ASU signs with Adidas, and Adidas goes, we're going to try to make ASU a big thing. How about Guard U merch?
Carl Schroeder. Maybe they mean their team can guard you, but they really can't. Tonight, maybe.
But what was the thought process on that branding and marketing opportunity from ASU athletics perspective? We are going to straight up try to steal the thing that our direct rival already has about them because we had one guy who was good, who was a guard? One guy. Your Guard U? You had one good player. Other than that, what are we? We're going back to Eddie House in the 90s? Or we're calling Jahi Carson a stud? What's going on, Kevin? Guard U is so embarrassing. It makes me embarrassed for them. But I will say, I love Bobby, the villain, so much. He wore that on purpose in this game. Fact.
That's what Sports Savant is saying, and I agree with Sports Savant. Bobby will do anything to get his mug on TV more than his players' mugs, but maybe it's a good thing we need him to stay. Literally.
He did it so I could sit up here on this podcast and scream about it, Kevin, which I actually appreciate him for. That's why I'm hashtag Bobby forever, because I love that dude. He gives me nothing but content, and we beat him all the damn time. It's the best.
Yeah. Also, Steve Hernandez, before we get the great Saul Bookman in here, says Arizona's players looked a lot more bigger and muscular than the Sun Devil players. Great game, though. Arizona Wildcats #1. This is something I jokingly put out there on Twitter, but you and I were talking about a little bit pre-show off-air, Damon.
Joke?
I jokingly put it out because they have to have one, right? But I said, does Arizona State actually have a strength and conditioning coach for this year's basketball team? Did they forget to allocate NIL? Because they got a lot of guys that I feel like they just showed up to campus yesterday looking like the way that they rolled out there. And then you play them, and maybe it's the contrast against Arizona. Because I wasn't saying that when we watched them against K-State. So maybe it's the contrast of them versus Arizona and Arizona's grown-ass men versus whatever the hell ASU has. But yeah, it does not feel like they have the same level of strength and conditioning over there. But you know who does have unbelievable strength and conditioning and is coming to us live from one McHale Center? It's none other than the one, the only Saul Bookman, ladies and gentlemen, is in the house. Saul, how are we doing tonight? Late night for the book.
Oh, yeah, good. We're doing good. You guys are testing my strength and conditioning right now because, listen, I got a long drive back, and you guys keep going on about these stupid-ass Guard U shirts, man. Fine, let's go, baby. Also, the reason why that started there, Damon, is because there was that trio of Trey Holder, Remy Martin, and I forgot the third guy.
Genuinely, who?
Listen. It doesn't matter. They were literally one U of A win away from being the #1 team in the country because they were undefeated in the non-con. Then they came here to McHale, which I was here for. and against the DeAndre Ayton-led Wildcats, who were struggling in the non-con, got swept in the Bahamas, and they murdered those dudes and put a squash. And then ASU could never recover. I think they went like 8-10 in conference play, barely made the tournament. One of the first four in. They hung the banner first four instead of the final four, like most normal schools do. And that's where the guard view thing took off. But like Bobby never let it go. Like, dude, you had one good year with guards, and it was really not even a good year. It was a good half a year, and that's what it is. Anyway, I digress. I just wanted to set the table.
Yeah, I mean they picked and choose their opportunity, and as Maze Devil says here in the chat, it was rage bait, is what it was, truly.
Yeah,
but
of course.
And I can respect that to an extent as the guy that I am, but at the same time, it does make me just like visibly cringe every time I see it, especially in the year of our Lord 2026.
Hello, Ivon.
Ivon Kchenkov appearance on the ASU Wildcats podcast.
Yeah, there we go.
I think, Kevin, would you mind getting a live tweet out right now that we got Ivon on the show? But Saul, not the best game from the Arizona Wildcats perspective, but you are a guy that is way more process driven, I think, than,
Wait. This is beautiful, okay? Listen, you know what ASU kids really want to be? They really want to be Wildcats. Look at them. They're taking pictures at center court. How cute is that? Look at that. Look at these little cocky kids taking pictures at half court at a real basketball court. Isn't that just so awesome?
No, that was awesome. The real basketball court dig was really cool. I appreciate that. Number one court in the country for my money.
For sure.
You were saying,
I'm sorry, David. Your question, yes.
I was just saying that you strike me as a process over results guy when it comes down to it at the end of the day. And despite it being Arizona's, maybe not their best performance of the year, what can you tell us that you saw that was a positive from the Arizona Wildcats perspective tonight?
Listen, I think this is like the best way I could put it is we all remember that. You guys know the story of Muhammad Ali versus George Foreman and the rope-a-dope, right? This was kind of the reverse rope-a-dope, where it would be as if George Foreman was the one rope-a-doping against the underdog, right? And I feel like that's kind of what Arizona was doing. But like make no bones about it, they were throwing body blow after body blow after body blow down low in the paint to try and wear down ASU as much as possible. And it looked like it was going to work until about, they gave up a couple threes at the end of the game to cut it to 2. And listen, I think it's always good. We've seen Michigan, we've seen Iowa State lose in the last week. There's only 3 undefeated teams left in Nebraska, Miami of Ohio, and us. Everybody's going to lose at some point this year. I think this felt as close to a loss without it being a loss as possible. And you still felt like you were relatively in control, especially in that second half. Even when they cut it to 2, it still felt like, yeah, but we have Jaden Bradley. We're going to close this out. And that's exactly what happened. So it just felt like Arizona was just too powerful. Now, are there some things to clean up? For sure. Like the 3-point defense, especially the switching and really losing their man. I feel like there were some lapses there, and the freshman mistakes kind of appeared. But as Tommy pointed out in the post game, he was like, you know what? Honestly, I would have been okay if we would have lost, because it's not about wins or losses. He very much goes with the John Wooden style of thinking. It's more about the process and making sure that, like, hey, listen, did we play our very best? No. Did we do enough to win this game? For sure. But you can't take what you did in this game and move it to the next game and think that the same result's going to happen. You got to be about the process. He used a term. It was the undisciplined. Oh, damn it. I just had it. It was the undisciplined power of me. And and he said that this team is as unselfish as it gets, because he felt like, for instance, Koa Peat came up, and how in the first half Koa was, wasn't able to get on track. And, you could tell that he really wanted to play good against ASU. That was, listen, that's his quote unquote hometown team. And he wanted to put it to him. And sometimes when you do that and you force the issue and you get too consumed in your own self, you can kind of lose your way. And that happened to a varying degree in that first half. But then that second half, he took full advantage of the situation, was more calculated and more powerful and more, more pronounced in that second half. And that's why he was able to dominate, especially in that first 10 minutes of the second half. He looked like Larry Johnson to me. For those of you who don't know who Larry Johnson is, you better do your homework and go watch some UNLV from 1990 because that was one of the baddest power forwards in the game of all time.
Grandmama.
And grandmama, baby, yeah. So
That's my
anyway,
2 cents.
I digress. I thought that was kind of my biggest takeaway is that it's all about the process. It doesn't matter what we do now. It doesn't matter what they do tomorrow. It matters how they go about doing this all the way until the end. And, can they get the result that everybody desires? We'll see.
Sticking on maybe more the positive side of things, Tobe Awaka was an absolute monster tonight. And he earned his king of the court tonight, Kevin, in the form of 25 points, 5 boards, which felt a little light, but it was really the interior scoring that he was bringing you, and that 1 3-pointer that he hit as well. Now shooting 66.7% from 3 on the year, but adds in a block as well. Kevin showing the poster dunk on Jop. Saul, what did you see from Tobe Awaka tonight, and is he the best 6 man in the country?
A million percent he's the best 6 man in the country. There's not a single player close enough to compare. When he's almost an automatic bucket around the rim. He's dominant on the boards. Defensively, he can hold his own. He's a lot more athletic and versatile than you'd expect. Just fantastic all the way around. Like his improvement is just it's probably one of the most slept on, growths that we've ever seen in college basketball. He did not. Nobody expected him to come in and do anything remotely close to this. And so, I mean, you're talking about a trio. And I would even say that, listen, Krivas has his weaknesses. You don't really see much weakness from Tobe Awaka. So, if both were freshmen, this was day one, you'd be hard pressed to start Krivas over Awaka. But because Krivas has been here for a while, you got the bond and all that stuff, and because Awaka is such a selfless player, he doesn't really care. It doesn't really matter, and that growth has been significant, and it's going to continue to be significant because, like I said, rebounding and defense is what's going to win Arizona a national championship. That's what's going to take them to the next level. They've got to consistently be one of the best in the country at those two things, and they are right now, and they'll continue to be so, especially with a guy like Tobe in the fold.
Yeah. In addition to the Tobe Awaka development conversation, I wanted to give a shout out to the coaching staff because the way that they've worked with Mo Krivas, the way that they've worked with Tobe Awaka to evolve and round out their games has been unbelievable. I was talking to Aiden Wool, right? He used to cover U of A a little bit. He still does in part-time, but I was on the phone with him earlier today.
PHNX alum.
Yes, indeed. And I was on the phone with him earlier today. He was in town tonight, and we were talking about this game. And he was like, man, Krivas' hands have gotten so much better. I said, Krivas' hands, Krivas' feet. And we kind of went back and forth about all the different things that Mo Krivas has gotten better at.
Krivas' calves.
His ankles have gone crazy. But no, I think the ability of this staff to take players that I think you'd look at Tobe Awaka and you'd limit him within what you've seen in the past from players, right? You're like, well, this guy's an elite rebounder. He's a big ball of muscle. Let's not make him shoot threes. He can't do that. That's ridiculous, the idea that he would do that. But you look at his game, it's like, what else does he have to expand into outside of making his offensive game more dangerous? And what I love about the way this staff attacks development is it's clear that they're not Anthony Davising people. And what that means to me is when he went to the Lakers, when he was on the Pelicans, he was a little bit more lean. He was a freak athlete. He was a big lob threat. He goes to the Lakers. He gets on that LeBron regimen, and I don't know what it was, but he bulked up. He became a little slower. And I think you looked at an area of weakness for him and said, oh, you got to get bigger, right? And it caused the areas of strength for him to lessen, to weaken. And I think for the bigs on this team, their ability to develop and become more versatile without losing what makes them great, I think is incredible. Tobe Awaka is still getting better at the bread and butter, which is rebounding, and he's evolving a 3-point shot. I think that is something that I really want to give credit to him and the staff for, because that's hard to do. It must be hard to do. And Saul, do you think that it's more players or the staff? Am I giving too much credit to the staff, and should I be giving it all to Awaka, or is this valid here?
I would say this, and this, I mean no disrespect by this. I just don't. This is kind of what I've seen. Ask yourself if you switch these two coaches, would the same thing be happening?
I mean,
If you switch
absolutely
Bobby
not.
Hurley with Tommy Lloyd and their
Horror
staffs,
show.
do you think what U of A is right now is what U of A would be?
No, I mean, if Bobby Hurley was coaching this team, NBA scouts don't even know Mo Krivas exists. Koa Peat is a turnover machine who's putting up like 8 and 10 a game.
Okay, all right, time out there, guys.
Dog, Bobby
All right,
Hurley
stop.
is a mess.
Listen, yeah, but he's
He's
not
a
out there
mess.
actually.
He doesn't coach. He
Listen,
yells, and not
yeah,
even to
but
his
he's-
team at the refs.
Listen. Okay, all right, time out here. Man, you really gonna make me defend ASU tonight? Come on, man.
Dog.
This is
What's
what he
wrong?
does.
Listen,
Dog, Bobby got his
Listen.
four solo shots screaming
Listen.
at refs, and he was
It
done
does-
for the night. He said,
it
"All right,
does-
that was a
it
good
does-
night of work. Got my TV
Listen.
time. Let's go home, boys."
No, listen, man. Like, you got to give ASU credit for the
I give his
performance
team
tonight.
credit for fighting. At no point did I think he made Mo Odom make that miraculous three. The shot making for Mo Odom, he didn't make
Listen,
Masamba
man,
Diop 7'2".
Listen to me. Listen to these words, Kevin. When Bobby Hurley has a highly talented team, his teams always fall flat because he can't coach them up because they already come in with this kind of mentality and he doesn't know how to break through that glass.
I'm
Okay.
with you.
But when he has a team that comes from these random ass places and they're not highly touted, he can coach those guys up to another level. Go back in his history. The lesser talented teams have often been his scrappy teams, his best teams, because he's able to coach them up because, hey, I'm the dude that led Duke to a national championship, back-to-back ones, as a matter of fact. And I
Wasn't
know
TV
how to
in black
get
and
you
white?
to – no, it wasn't. I was alive during that time, you
Oh, okay,
jackass.
my bad.
So anyway, he's able to coach those guys up, all right? But when he has the highly talented team, like he did last year on paper, it was supposed to be a much better team last year. He's not able to coach them up because those guys' egos are at a certain point, and he has nothing to point to in terms of the evolution of how he can develop a player and get them to the NBA. So those guys, he has zero credibility in that space. So when you come through the door, yeah, one of the most legendary basketball players of all time in college basketball. Sure, that's cool, but Tommy Lloyd, who has had 0 national championships, has never won anything as a player, comes through the door and is like, listen, I don't know what they're doing, but I know I can get you to the league. And so you should listen to what I'm going to say and how I'm going to teach you. And there's a certain approach that I think Tommy Lloyd has that the really, really great coaches have to be able to get through to a certain player, no matter what caliber they are when they come through that door, and get them to play at their peak. And Tommy Lloyd has proven to be able to do that. Bobby Hurley has proven to not be able to do that. And that is the major difference.
I agree
So I
with
kind
that,
of
Saul.
defended.
I agree with that.
So I kind of defended ASU, but I kind of didn't. So it's we're 50-50. We're Gucci right now, right?
Yeah, I think Bobby does thrive on the less talented, more like underdog mentality. We came from nowhere type of teams. Absolutely. Even you look at maybe one of his more talented players he's had at ASU in Remy Martin. I feel like almost exemplifies like that dude that guy wasn't coveted at all going into ASU, and he became something because he almost was like that perfect Bobby Hurley player.
That's a perfect example, Damon. A perfect example. That's why they pay you the big bucks, dog. Because look at Remy Martin. He was nobody, and then he became somebody under Bobby Hurley, and then there was a peak, and he couldn't get past that peak. So where did he go? To Kansas and Bill Self in order to cross that peak and become a national championship caliber player and contribute to that team. That's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Nice job, buddy.
Thank you, Saul.
Also,
I appreciate
Saul,
that. I'm going to put my gold star on, but also the chat is going nuts right now because one Anthony Copetree is losing his mind in Studio A. We can hear the yelling. We
Why?
can hear the stomping.
Why?
I don't know what's going on, but Eduardo said that there's a full crash out happening in that Eric and him are
But why?
celebrating a moral victory.
I don't know. Somebody
listen,
made an ASU fan watch a basketball game.
I mean, listen, did you think that they weren't going to celebrate being like within 7 points? Listen, they didn't lose by double digits against the number 1 team in the country in their house. Like I could see why. Now, what I will say is this. You would think that when U of A goes to ASU, like, oh man, U of A should really be worried because it's at ASU. Now it's on their court and the tables have turned and ASU could certainly win that game. The problem is that you actually have to play these games, and Arizona's going to learn a lot about themselves tonight. They're going to fix a lot of things. They got more important things to worry about, like UCF first, which is a very important test on the road. And when they get to Tempe, I promise you it won't be the same type of game. And I promise you that Arizona will be a lot more efficient, a lot more careful with the ball, and they will not let ASU pop off from the three the way they did tonight, because there was several wide open threes, especially in the last 4 minutes of the game, which were atrocious. Should never have happened, but hey, it is what it is. They learn, they move on.
Can I ask you one question about? I know he's not
It's
technically
not
my guy.
it's not going to be about like black and white television, is it?
No. I was gonna ask you about when they invented fire, but that was for another time. Shout out to Pigeon for that one. But look, Ivon Kchenkov, what a player, man. He's incredible. And I feel like at this point, like 15 and 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 personal fouls, and a steal does not, I feel like, encapsulate his impact on this game. Can you tell us? Because that image of him screaming.
Hey, you can go ahead and take a picture. It's okay.
No, we're doing a video. So
Okay.
Oh, they're doing a
Go
little
ahead.
ticky-tock. They're doing a little, doing a little TikTok in the background.
More crying cat kids.
But no, Ivon Kchenkov, the image of him
The
screaming,
crying cat kids.
doing his thing after he hit that shot. Can you talk about the energy he brings and how effective he was tonight?
I mean, just defensively, like he just causes havoc. But again, he showed a freshman tendency going for a steal tonight and then allowing Mo to come down and get that and 1 3-pointer. Did he necessarily need to go for that steal? Probably not. Definitely didn't. But that was a key bucket. Like, dude, that got the game to 2. Like, you gotta know the situation a little bit better than that. You do that in the first half or at the beginning of the second half, not a problem. But when the game is on the line still, it's still up for grabs. Like you got to understand, you can't make those kind of silly mistakes because against a good team, you get into the tournament, they'll find a way to capitalize on that, and you'll lose all the momentum. So, but overall, I mean, again, I actually thought Dwayne Aristo should have played a little bit more too, because I thought Dwayne Aristo's defense was fantastic. I thought Ivon and Dwayne really presented a matchup nightmare for ASU on the perimeter, and did a very good job of staying in front of their guy and not falling for the quickness. And they're sneaky quick themselves. Like listen, Mo is plenty fast, but he's not going to outwit Ivon. He's not going to outwit Dwayne. So like I thought Kchenkov just continues to show that he's just a pro. He's just a pro. And he's going to learn from this. Even tonight, he's going to learn from this. I think that's why he walked by and he was just like, you think he was waving. He was more like, my bad. I got to clean this shit up.
It was that European way of, that was a foul, guys.
Yeah,
My bad.
That one was on me. My bad.
Before we get you out of here, Saul, I wanted 2 things from you. First, I wanted to plug Mikhail Madness tomorrow night. It's going to be an absolute great show. Corey's already made the graphics request, so I'm already going to be burning the midnight oil. But it's good stuff. So make sure to tune into Mikhail Madness tomorrow night, 7 p.m. right here on this YouTube channel. And we do have a super chat from one Champy for $2. Champy is right on the brain of one Saul Bookman, saying, I can see Aristode ready to explode as well. Do you feel the same way, that the Aristodians could once again rule this land?
I think so. I think he will have a game or two. I do think he will have a game or two in the last 14 of the season. But it's really about minutes, and they're so vital. They're so hard to come by. As we talked about on Mikhail Madness several times, there's 200 minutes to divvy up between 8 players. Who's going to get what, and it's hard to find those minutes for Dwayne Aristode, even though he's playing plenty good to be on the court. He would play for any other team in the country, but for this team, it's very unique and it's very hard. And I will say this, Bobby Hurley, one of the things he said in the postgame is like, he can't recall another team that he's faced that has the kind of versatility and just the matchup nightmare that Arizona is. And I keep talking about that front court, back court, mid-level, wings. It doesn't matter. Arizona has an answer, a virtual answer for everything. And, assuming that they can hit the 3 a little bit more consistently down the stretch, Arizona's going to be, they're going to be a team, obviously, we all know, that people are going to have to contend with. Also, one little thing I do want to bring up before you ask your last question, if you have a last question. The one thing I will say that will disrespect ASU, and it's intentional. Oh
Please do.
my effing gosh. Can we stop with the theatrical flopping? Oh my Lord. I saw 18 people get killed tonight on the court. Like, at least that's what you would have thought. You would have thought there was a sniper in the building the way this went down. Like, there was literally at the end of the game, it was a missed shot, and my guy didn't even have to put his butt out to block out Tobe Awaka. He just went up to get the rebound, and because he jumped, the guy behind him just flopped big time, and the ref literally looked down at him and was just like, what the heck? It just kept running. Oh my gosh, the flopping was insane for ASU because, listen, I think in their heads they thought that this is the only way we could compete, and that's just, don't teach that. And maybe that's a Bobby Hurley thing, but God,
I wonder who's coaching them.
Just man up, dude. Man up and play some ball.
Who are they? But this is my thing with these coaches, Saul, real quick. Well, I promise we're going to get you out of here so you can get home to your beautiful family. But the thing is that these young men look up to their leader, right? So ASU is flopping, doing all the theatrics, whining for calls. What was that? I didn't... Because that's what their coach does. He's not worried about the game. He's worried about how good he looks on TV, doing what he does, screaming his head off, right? It's crazy, Saul. It's crazy talk. It's absolute crazy talk.
It is.
So I wanted to ask you just last question before we get you out of here on the 2 star freshmen for Arizona, the 2 superstar freshmen in Koa Peat and Braden Burries. Koa Peat didn't necessarily have the best first half tonight. Thought he responded in a big time way in that second half. Braden Burries, a little bit more quiet. What did you see from them two?
I mean, honestly, Braden Burries wasn't really much of a factor tonight. He didn't really do too much. Defensively, he was okay. Offensively, he was kind of MIA. He wasn't able to really chip in at a high level. Koa, yeah, same thing. I think, it's funny. Auburn was a big game, but because Auburn was like number 20, it didn't really matter so much, and we kind of felt like we were going to stomp them. And Arizona got to such a fast start, the crowd didn't really have an opportunity to like get loud or rowdy, right? Anytime you're playing ASU, you're going to have the heat is going to be brought, and from the jump, it was loud in here. It's the loudest it's been all season for sure. And I think it got to the players a little bit. I think it kind of unnerved them, like, ooh, you could feel the intensity from the crowd. Like, we need to win this one. Like, there's no way we're going to lose our number 1 standing to this team. That's not happening. And so you could feel that. And I feel like they were a little jittery to start. And I think it had an effect. And I think Koa was able to kind of work himself out of it in the second half. And man, that 10 minutes was probably one of the best 10 minutes I've seen him play this year, outside of maybe the Florida game. Because he was just assertive. He was forcing the contact. He was at the rim. Like, he was not taking no for an answer. And then my favorite part, and probably one of the iconic moments for Koa Peat in an Arizona uniform, was after he got a bucket and he's coming down to this end. Yeah, the U of A jersey. He's flashing it to the Zona Zoo. Everybody's hyped. Listen, I'm in the media section and I'm not cheering, but inside I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, those dudes, man. Like, so
you should have seen me during the first half of the Territorial Cup this year at Sun Devil Stadium. I'm sitting next to Kevin as we play the worst half of football of the season, minus maybe the Holiday Bowl.
We had no idea what was coming.
And I'm sitting there and I'm just seething with anger, just trying to just full mask of the guy who's crying underneath, but sitting there like this, just in the press box, trying not to scream at the team for just horrific mistake after horrific mistake. It does in this particular company at PHNX Sports. We do very much blur that line, and it's sometimes it's a little bit tough to be like, all right, Damon, be a damn professional for a second. But I hear you. That was pretty hype. And Koa, if you remember from our Arizona Basketball Media Day interview with him, told us we kind of threw that into his world. We were like, maybe a little bit of Derek Williams, Arizona jersey pop, and he was like, I'm going to add it to the repertoire.
We should grab that clip and then grab the clip of him doing it and then post it to social and then
you 1,000,000% should.
Yeah, one of these two guys. Yeah.
Listen, he's a Chandler kid. He went to Perry High School, and he was recruited by ASU. And I know there's a lot of people. You got to imagine there were so many kids in his class. They were like, "You got to go to ASU. You got to go to ASU." That's why you don't listen to your friends, because they don't know shit. All right. Like they're probably trying to convince him that, oh, if you go to ASU, you're going to be the king and blah blah blah. Like, no. I'm here for championships. I'm here to win. I don't know if you know this about me, but I've won 4 world titles and I've won 4 state titles. Like, I'm not here to get, the glory of Tempe crown. Like, that's not what this is all about. This is about being a national champion. Can I do it at the University of Arizona? Because that's clearly the best option here in this state and one of the best in the country. So, yeah, listen, it meant a lot. You could tell it meant a lot to him. The emotion, that was as emotional as I've seen Koa Peat in an Arizona uniform this season. So I was hyped for the kid. And listen, I don't know Koa. We've had one conversation, but he's a kindred spirit. Okay. He just is. All right. We're both from the East Valley, and we're both Wildcats, and it just means more. Okay. Like, you grew up in Tucson. That's cool. That's fine. Like, listen, shout out to you. Like, you were born into this. We were bred for this because we had to deal with all this BS up in the East Valley and all these people that are like ASU this and ASU that. No. They don't know it. They don't know what it's like to go to school and get, crapped on because you're a Wildcat and you rep the Wildcats in and out, through and through, no matter what. That's why 97 was so sweet. It's because I got to see the bitter disappointment of Sun Devil fans crying when they lost the Rose Bowl to just be followed up even more by a national effing championship by their hated rival in the same year they choked in the Rose Bowl. How beautiful is that? So at the end of the day, it's always a great day to be alive.
We appreciate you. That's the perfect way to end tonight's appearance. Saul Bookman, follow him at Saul_Bookman on all social media. And of course, McHale Madness is tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Saul Bookman, Corey Williams, former Arizona basketball star, and of course, Kevin Thomas. You guys won't want to miss that one. Saul, we appreciate your time and safe travels back up to the East Valley tonight.
I messed up last week, guys. I called somebody Sophia, which she saw me tonight. She was just like, you know what? I kind of like that as a nickname, so I'm cool with it. I was like, oh, okay. So Sheila, I apologize. Mad love to you. Thank you for stopping by and saying hi again. And she shall be known as Sophia as well. So Sheila, Sophia, welcome to the club. There you go.
Shout out Sheila, of course, who was in this chat earlier tonight. We appreciate you, Sheila, for your continued support. And we hope that we could help you get through a difficult time in your life. But Saul, we thank you, and we'll see you next time, my guy.
See you guys.
That, of course, is Saul Bookman. We got to hit one last ad break here on the ASU Wildcats podcast, but right after that, we'll finish this bad boy up, hit some Tommy Lloyd sound, and get on out of here. Do not go anywhere.
Unless you are going to the one, the only Gila River Resorts and Casinos, where you can bring Vegas to your very own backyard. Does Vegas in the backyard move you? Because it should. Gila River Resorts and Casinos has all the great vibes of Vegas, minus all the nasty, gross stuff about Vegas that you don't really love. You just want to play one of 4,500 slots and live table games? You just want to go to one of the largest sports books in the state and their BetMGM Sportsbook? You just want to go to one of the most fine dining experiences in the state at the ASU Steakhouse at Wild Horse Path? Man, look, Gila River is the only way I staycation out here in the valley. And not only that, Gila's introducing the Vegas vibes, like I said. Enjoy exclusive concerts, extended DJ sets, showgirls, chef-driven dining, pop-up bars, and surprise cameos, just like the one you got from Ivon Kchenkov earlier tonight. Plus, do not miss that famous Corvette giveaway and special perks for loyalty members only. You bring you, they bring the Vegas. That's the easiest deal you've ever heard in your life. Only at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playatgila.com for the full calendar of wonderful wonderful events.
Got to talk to you guys about my friends over at Circle K. They sponsor the great Studio K, and we love Circle K. We love the Inner Circle Rewards membership program, Kevin, in particular, because they are trying to save you money. Now, I would say tomorrow is going to be a fuel day where you can save 40 cents off per gallon. But I would be wrong because it is past midnight. It's 12:04 a.m.
Wow.
So today at 6 a.m., starting at 6 a.m., we have a Circle K Inner Circle Rewards member fuel day. That means you can save 40 cents off per gallon tomorrow, starting at 6 a.m. You guys need to take advantage of that great deal, great opportunity. And if you're an Inner Circle Rewards member, you can also stack that, of course, with your 3 cents off per gallon that you get every time you fill up. Maybe you're a premium member. Maybe you get 5 cents off per gallon every time you fill up. Kevin, maybe you haven't signed up yet at all. Whoa. And you can stack the 25 cents off per gallon that you get on your first 5 fill-ups with the 40 cents off per gallon for the fuel day tomorrow and get 65 cents off per gallon if you haven't become a member of the Inner Circle Rewards membership program yet. It's free to sign up. It's a free app. Takes 2 seconds. You choose an email, you choose a password, and you're done. It's that simple. Then you just got to put your phone number in at the pump every time you fill up. The savings are right there in front of you. Take advantage of that fuel day tomorrow. 40 cents off per gallon for Inner Circle Rewards members. And yeah, hit up our friends over at Circle K. I know there's one near you.
There's never a Circle K far from you if you're out here in the Valley. There's never an Arizona Wildcat far from you if you're out here in the great freedom state of Arizona. We're talking fast food orders in the chat. I'm a chicken sandwich guy myself. But I will say this much about what's going on in the chat.
Thanks for sharing that.
Of course. I mean, you know I'm going to share my food insights and whatnot. I had some Jollibee today for those that care. Either way.
Don't bring that name up to me.
Oh, shit. Oh, shoot. Oh no! What have I done?
I got in a little fender bender because Kevin recommended Jollibee to me, was it not based off of your recommendation? Fact or true? True or fact?
I plead the fifth.
I'm not blaming you for the accident itself, but the inception of the drive to Gilbert, Arizona.
Yes.
Now.
Facts. Okay. Yeah. Moving on. Arizona is won 17 straight games, Damon, and that is no small feat. As our guy Roberto in the chat said right here, y'all, I know we're not happy with the win, but we're 17-0. Think about that. And think about this. Arizona has now won 17 straight games. That is the 7th winning streak of 17 plus games in Arizona history since when? Since 1904, 1905, man. This is a special season. Only seven times in the last 120 some years have you got this. Absolutely incredible, Damon. And I love being an Arizona Wildcat, getting the chance to talk about this team. Doing something historic. One of 3 teams left? What is it? Miami, Ohio, Nebraska ball.
Not Vanderbilt.
And Arizona, huh?
Yep.
Wow. I mean, this is crazy. I'm very, very thankful to be rooting for this team. And I'm very, very thankful for this comment from Ike Salvador, who says, this is my favorite Wildcat live stream. But guys, are we okay with no timeouts when Koa is grabbing his hammy?
I think that there are a few things in which I sit there and I go, wow, Tommy Lloyd, I guess he isn't perfect. And I do think that there are times where Tommy tries to let his team play through things a little bit too much. In that circumstance, it's an injury. It's a little different. I don't know that I've necessarily seen that too often before, although I did notice that tonight. But typically it feels like it's like a 8-0 run for an opponent, and you're like, all right, man, let's talk it over. We're in the Big 12 tournament. We're in March Madness. It's not really play through it time. Like we got to stop the bleeding right now. And I do think that that's one thing where I'm like, I wish he was a little bit more up on top of the timeouts. And I wish that there was a little bit more designated plan when it came to, inbounding the basketball, especially when the other team is full court pressing late on in a game. But yeah, I mean, I think that could be something that Tommy could improve upon as a coach.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, to be completely frank with you, I didn't have too much of an opinion on that in the moment because I think they cut. At least from what I seen, because I was doing like a little bit of a typing thing and then looking back up thing and then a typing thing. When I looked back up, Shane, producer of the ASU pod, was saying, it was actually Totri. He was saying like Koa Peat was limping off the court there. Did y'all catch that? And I hadn't honestly caught it because I looked down at the moment. So I didn't have any opinion on whether or not he should have called it or not called it. But I'm glad that our guy Damon did, to answer your question there, Ike. But yeah, dauntless grip. Dude, is dauntless a new word? What did I say? Grip?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. Dauntless drip, 1564. Cramp, he's good. Agreed with the timeouts. And that is like the consensus on that, right? It was just like a little cramp. Nothing really to be too concerned about.
Max, Sean Miller would call all of his timeouts with 2 minutes left in the basketball game. You'd be sitting there and you go, wait, we got one? There's 4.5 minutes left. But Sean Miller was a big proponent of, we're not going to waste any of these time. We're not going to use any of them after the game's over. So he'd use them way before he needed to. Yeah. I don't know what's better, but maybe just a guy who just feels it out properly. You know what I mean? Not that Tommy doesn't or that he never does. I do agree that there are times where you could probably see a better whistle from, Tommy Lloyd's perspective in that regard. Like developer, the best in the country. Recruiter, up there with the GOATs. Now, some in-game stuff, I think that there's a little bit to be desired, but I do think he is really good at other in-game stuff as well. But when you have an elite coach like this, we're absolutely just splitting hairs to the most minute of levels, being like, what can we criticize the coach for? And it's like, not that much. Team's 17-0, number one in the country, by far the best, not even close, not even debatable. I do believe we have some comments from Tommy Lloyd tonight, Kevin.
Yes, indeed we do. Good segue. Before we get out of here, we do have to hear from our one fearless leader, Tommy Lloyd. Now, we had a lot to talk about in regard to Arizona learning from this game, Arizona being ready for this moment. This is what Tommy Lloyd had to say about Arizona being built for these type of games.
That we're here for it. We don't have hubris. We don't expect these games to come easy. We obviously take all these games serious. So I really appreciate the battle tonight. I appreciate the competition. And you know what? I probably would have been okay if we would have lost. I'm really happy we won, but keep things moving. So yeah, I learned that our guys are here for it, and you put them in tough situations. They're not afraid to make plays and find a way in a really tough game.
And I think that's like we talked about it earlier, and I believe in the first segment of this very post game about what makes these freshmen, these young players for Arizona so special is that they are ready for these big moments. They do feel poised for the most part. Even on a night where Braden Burries did not have his best game, it's not like, I don't know, to say what I'm trying to say without saying it is that he's come a long way from being ineffective in the Florida game and fouling out versus being offensively ineffective in this game and staying in it, staying in the fight. Koa Peat, ineffective in some ways in the first half in terms of his efficiency. In the second half, he could not have been more efficient. Unbelievable. Ivon Kchenkov, his defense, the way that he defends his opponent it's unbelievable. The man is relentless on that side of the ball, and offensively, he's a plus contributor as well. 4 for 6 tonight, right? In a game that Arizona easily could have lost. And then you have Dwayne Aristode, who I know is not putting up a bunch of production, but still plays good defense. And I think, to Tommy Lloyd's point, I'm incredibly impressed with how ready this Arizona team is for these kind of moments. I'm there in the room with you, with Toche, with Eric, with Shane. I'm sweating a little bit at the result of this game. But ultimately, and I said this against TCU, and I genuinely mean it, it is so crazy for me as a fan of Arizona, as much as I care about these teams, to be watching and genuinely not be worried about a loss. If it comes, it comes. If it happens, it happens. Right? But I'm not sitting there yeah, this is it. This is the run where we lose it and this Arizona team because so-and-so can't hit free throws or because we have this hole on offense. I'm not worried about it, to be honest with you. I know that this Arizona team is going to respond, and that is an unbelievable thing to feel about a college basketball team in mid-January. That you just absolutely know that they're going to respond. That you absolutely know that they have a second life in their battery tank, right? So yeah, Arizona being built for these moments. We're lucky to have a team built for these moments. Another guy that I mentioned there, we talked about him a lot. He was not our king of the court because one Tobe Awaka went crazy, but Koa Peat, damn it, he had a good game. He wanted to win the damn game, did Koa Peat. This is what Tommy Lloyd had to say about Mr. Arizona.
I mean, obviously Koa understands what this game means maybe more than other guys. So, maybe he kind of had to adjust to it a little bit. I'm sure, he really, really wanted to play well today. And, one of the things we talk about a lot in our program is, the undisciplined want of more. Maybe early in the game he was a little too aggressive, and got sped up a little bit, and in an effort to help our team, but maybe he was a little bit, undisciplined with it. So he really reeled that in the second half, and obviously, he had great numbers today and played a really big game, especially down the stretch.
And that's kind of what we're talking about with Koa Peat, right? Like the maturity to understand that, like, damn, I'm kind of pushing too hard. I need to take a step back and just play my game, and it will look like 7 for 7 from the field because I'm just too strong, too skilled for my opponents. We are lucky to have Mr. Arizona on our team, Damon.
Yeah, it was a gritty game tonight. It was a gritty performance from one Koa Peat, and there is a guy on this team, Kevin, that always shows grit night in, night out. That is kind of the role that has been assigned to him. Tommy Lloyd spoke a little bit about Ivon Kchenkov and just the grit he brings on a game-to-game basis.
I think Ivon's built for every game. You maybe can give me an example of one he's not built for, but the guy's a winner, and he's doing a great job. He's playing with a couple point guard type guys. So Ivon, his playmaking is really good too. He just probably hasn't gotten quite enough opportunities to show it yet, and maybe over the course of the season or his career he will. But I thought he was great down the stretch of the game, and he kind of, he had a drive to the basket, to make an easy layup. He had a quick rip drive up top where he got fouled and won the double bonus and made both free throws. So, that's big time stuff.
Thank you to the one, the only Cohen Kinney for that audio from one Tommy Lloyd. And Eduardo, you do not need to grow up. That sounds like you're living your best life. Corona bucket in front of me at Frog and Firkin, about to make some bad decisions tonight.
Frogs forever, man. That's what I say. Bobby forever and frogs forever. That's it. Those are my two mottos that I live by in life. We got another super chat here from Nick Hart. Don't love the avatar, my guy, but if you're not familiar, I am maybe the biggest Dodgers hater on planet Earth. Might be the only thing I hate more than Arizona State, but court was slick from Bobby's saliva from yelling.
Gross.
True?
But true.
True.
Yeah.
Bobby definitely lets the refs know that they're in the splash zone when he's getting animated, for sure. No doubt about it.
Say it, don't spray it, coach. Come on, that was a foul. Get out of my face. Yeah, absolutely crazy from Bobby Hurley. The one, the only, the true embarrassment to college basketball.
That was
Bobby
the last
Hurley.
game of Bobby Hurley in Tucson. And let me just say it was a fun ride. It was a fun ride.
It was a fun ride.
I know half of this podcast is the biggest hater of Bobby Hurley probably in existence. And that's fair. I get it. But I stand by that dude is the perfect villain for your team.
I don't disagree.
Abrasive. He's unlikable during games. At least I won't speak to him off the court. I've heard he's a good guy.
I wouldn't speak to him off the court either.
And he's hilarious. Objectively, he's hilarious. And he like when you have such a mild mannered coach in Tommy Lloyd, the contrast of it is so funny. And it's the perfect guy because you also win every game. So you get the comedy aspect, you get the full crash outs. You get the complete polar opposites of the two coaches, and then you get W's when it's all said and done. To me, that is the perfect Arizona State coach. And I hope that Bobby gets an extension. I'm not expecting it, but hashtag Bobby forever. I will continue to say that. Hashtag extend Bobby Hurley. And I welcome anyone who wants to get in on the movement with me.
I will say, Champy says Dan is also annoying too. Danny Hurley wins games. End of story. Bobby Hurley embarrasses himself. Danny Hurley does it, but you forget because he has so many rings on his finger and he blinds you with them like that.
Mick Cronin forever as well. Mick Cronin is also the perfect villain, but he's much more unlikable than Bobby Hurley, I think. I like Bobby Hurley doesn't go into his press conferences and go, yeah, we would have won if that freaking loser Pig Johnson actually played a good game tonight, huh? You guys see that disaster class? Dude sucks. Why did I recruit him to this school exactly? That's how Mick Cronin treats his players.
And then he scrolls down the stat sheet and is like, oh, yeah, I recruited you for 2 for 11, didn't I? Taps him on the chest.
Yeah.
Kid just has to eat it and be like,
yeah. And then Hep Cronin says worse things to the kids. Hep Cronin is screaming obscenities at them. And you're sitting there going, what? The coach's dad? It's at least Bobby and like when he's not in between the lines, Kevin, he's all class. But when he's between the lines, goes out the door.
I've said it once, I'll say it again. I don't know Bobby Hurley from a stop sign on the side of the road, right? As a person, I've never spoken to him. I have genuine trouble believing that if his child left the teapot on for too long, that he's reacting with kid gloves. I think he's giving him the ref treatment. I think he is. I don't know, Damon. I don't know him from a stop sign, but I cannot believe that he just turns that anger off. Oh, I'm off the court. I'm Mr. Bobby Hurley. I'm the nicest. Mr. Rogers is a beautiful day in the neighborhood, in the Hurley neighborhood. I do not believe that.
I mean, he's still a New Jersey guy.
For even half of a half second. I don't believe it. Bobby Hurley, bad person. Stamp it. I'm stamping it.
Wow.
It's been stamped. My deductive reasoning told me that was the answer.
I will not say that. I will stand with Bobby. Hashtag Bobby forever. And I love Bobby Hurley. It's sad that we are embarking on potentially the final game here of the Bobby Hurley era in Tempe. And of course, that will happen on January 31st. We're going to cover it. And of course, we're going to cover a few more games in the time process. In the meantime, we got a game on Saturday, Kevin, UCF versus Arizona. We're going to do a pregame and a postgame show for that one. Pregame is 30 minutes prior to tip. Postgame is 10 minutes after the final buzzer. We're going to talk about Arizona and if they remain undefeated against a very good challenge in UCF. And we're going to preview that game throughout the rest of the week. We're going to go Thursday, Friday at 2 p.m. and then pregame, postgame on Saturday. So be there for all of those shows, guys. Appreciate everybody for watching this one. Viewership's been fantastic. Vibes have been great here in the chat. Like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And if you guys enjoyed this and if you enjoyed the back and forth, the banter, Kevin and I are really trying to up our Discord game. We're going to try to make that Discord really start getting popping. And we're just going to be live reacting to everything that happens within Arizona athletics in that Discord channel. So you can become a diehard, get access to that Discord, get yourself a free Redline t-shirt in the process. It's a great deal, and it's well worth the money that you spend for the year-long membership. So yeah, come hang out with me and Kevin in that Discord. Come become a diehard today. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, follow Kevin at KevoPost, follow me at Damon Dog, that's DAWG, and please follow me at Damon Dog because my account will not be put into your world unless you go out of your way to find me and follow me, because me and Twitter are currently having a little bit of a spat right now. But that's a story for another day, another podcast. Follow us at PHNX_Wildcats on all socials, except for TikTok, where we're at AZ Wildcats Pod. And we will see you on a Thursday episode of the AZ Wildcats podcast, reacting to this one, talking some transfer portal targets, and so much more. Be there for that one. Appreciate everybody for watching. Peace out. Bear down.
And go Cats. Bobby Hurley forever. Let's just be honest.
We all silly like the mayor.